Hi, it's Dennis and Lisa McIntee. Here we are, Lisa, Drama Free Living podcast, and this has been a fantastic series for us. Hasn't it been fun for you?
It's been a lot of fun. We have been doing the 4 C's of healthy teams.
Yeah, 4 C's of teamwork. How do you build a team using sort of a 4-step process, all beginning with C's because I love alliteration.
You do love alliteration, and
Right.
You are good at it.
Well, and so the first C is care, right? Caring for your team. And it's the foundation that really creates safety. And when we feel safe, like we can do anything, we can say anything, and still feel valued, still feel cared for.
And we have higher employee retention, and our employees are more productive. They're happier.
And they're more engaged.
And the team is just functioning well.
Well, and it's almost like we want to build that because then once we care, we can step into this second phase of doing healthy conflict. And it's this whole idea of we care enough to confront. We care enough to have the hard conversations. And, you know, I tell people all the time, and especially in certain industries where we're working with helping professionals, right? And they sort of have this badge of honor that I really care. But then they talk about how they don't want to step in and have the hard conversation. And I thought about it, and I actually told a group like this, I said, well, I don't think you really care. Because if you cared, you would step in and have the hard conversation.
And
it kind of just like, it just flipped their mind. They're like, okay, I'm going to do it because I do care.
Well, part of that is, in my opinion, people think of, or I do, this is how I think, is the hard conversation is a war. The hard conversation is conflict, as in a war, a synonym of war. It's difficult. It's hard conversation, and it's hard. But hard conversations don't have to be hard. We likened it to an orchestra in our last podcast about an orchestra is all of these different instruments, all of these different notes. They're all playing something different at a different time. Some of them are even a different tempo, and some of them are soft, some of them are loud, but when you put them all together, they create this beautiful sound. They create this beautiful masterpiece, and that is what we're talking about conflict.
Yeah, and what I love about that is that we really kind of dived in, what does healthy conflict look like? And that conflict is normal. It's a normal process of really caring. But you don't go through conflict just to go through conflict.
It brings clarity.
Right.
And true conflict it's like an orchestra. Yeah. There are all these different instruments. There are all these different notes. Some are loud, some are soft. They're different tempos. And they are put all together and they create this incredible, beautiful music. Yeah. They create just this wonderful, masterful piece that brings so much joy to people. And that's what good conflict is.
And we went through, go ahead.
It's differing opinions. Yeah. It's differing people bringing their own different uniqueness, blending it all together to create this masterful process that makes our world better.
Well, and we really went through like the idea, this whole picture of healthy conflict. And you really have conflict because you care. But the end goal of conflict is not conflict in itself. It's to get to this place of
clarity.
Right.
Because if you say, for instance, you had this orchestra and there were all these different notes and all these different instruments and all these different tempos, and they were playing whatever they wanted, it would be a mess. Yeah. But they're not doing it whatever they want. It's very clear to each individual in the orchestra what their job is, what their role is, what their responsibility is, and when they're supposed to step into that.
Yeah, and we gave away a thinking tool, so go back and maybe take a listen to that. It's probably my favorite thinking tool that really produces a lot of clarity. And when people get clear and organizations are clear, it's just like focus. Right? Diffuse light, there's a lot of practice going on, but when we get really clear on what we do, then there's this focus and there's this clarity, and clarity is power. And so teams that have clarity really are powerful teams. And once you go through the clarity, then you sort of come to that commitment.
Absolutely. So there's this study by Gallup, and it says that employees are 5 times more likely to be connected to a company culture and 4 times more likely to be engaged when they feel appreciated, and that the number one reason, according to the U.S. Department of Labor, that people leave their jobs is because they don't feel appreciated, right? And so we've got this care and we've got the conflict, and then we've got the clarity to get to the commitment, because obviously if you're not appreciated and cared for and your ideas aren't valued, then you won't commit. You're going to leave that. You're going to eject, because the average U.S. employee spends 90,000 hours in their place of employment, whatever that is, over the course of their lifetime, and you're not going to want to be in an unhealthy environment for your entire life.
Well, and it's almost like the greater the commitment, the greater the results, right? Any result that I'm not getting in my life, Lisa, I still have to first step back and look at my commitment level. I mean, weight loss is a great sort of like picture of this.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about it, but at the end of the day, there are certain things that I am just not committed to yet.
Right.
And the question becomes, how do I get more committed?
Absolutely. Well, first, let's talk about why people won't commit, or why they don't commit. And one thing is, you know what? They just don't love what they're doing. I mean, how many people are doing things that they just don't love?
And it's hard to commit to that.
It's hard to commit to that, especially if it's 90,000 hours. Their work lacks purpose or meaning.
Okay, so watch this. This is the leader's big job, right? Is how do you create this purpose, this overarching why? And I know the clearer that I get on that, the clearer I am on that to my team, the easier it is for them to commit. Right. But when I'm not clear, and even like on projects, when I'm not clear on the project, it's hard for them to get committed to it.
Or also, there needs to be a bigger reason.
Yeah.
Like, what benefit is this going to have on mankind that I'm going to build more garages?
Or even this whole idea of what benefit does it have with me? So I was working with a senior executive team of a fairly large organization in Boston a couple weeks ago, and they were laying out like their yearly goals. And I thought about this, right? And they have a team of maybe 5,000-6,000 people. And I thought, you know what? I bet if they share this with their frontline staff, and as they share this with their frontline staff, they don't care. Really. I mean, I think, they care about, hey, I'm just trying to put food on the table, right? I'm just trying to get my kids to college. I'm just trying to make the mortgage payment and
keep the heat on in my house.
Right. And so it's very hard. We set these lofty goals, and I'm not saying don't have lofty goals, but we have to step back and go, and this is what
the
this
purpose.
Is. This is the purpose.
Meaning.
And the best goals are when the corporate goals and my goals intersect.
Yeah.
Right. And so, many times, maybe they'll have a goal of like, hey, we're gonna, be 20% more efficient. And I'll say, so that, and they'll go, well, so that, we have better results, so that we make more money, so that we pay our employees more. Hey, this goal is, let's everybody get paid more. Right. And then people from the front line, they're like, okay, I can buy into that.
Right. Now I can send my kid to college.
Right. It's like, I'm not excited about 50% more efficiency. Right.
That just sounds difficult.
Right. But if this is the everybody gets paid more goal, then all of a sudden I can commit to that. And part of our job as leaders is how do we create this commitment? And many times it's like when we're clear, right, and we get these goals aligned, man, commitment becomes a lot easier.
Absolutely. Another reason people won't commit is they don't feel empowered, they don't feel involved, or they don't feel appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of went through all the 4 C's right there.
Absolutely. Their needs aren't being met.
Well,
So they're being snowplowed, they're being rolled over, they're not making enough money, they're being taken advantage of.
And this is where our GPS framework really kind of comes in play, because I also have to step back and realize, as we lead our organization, our team has goals too.
Yeah, they have needs.
Right. They have needs. They have certain passions. They have certain struggles. And I know if I can step in and I'm a blessing to them in those areas, the more committed they will be.
Absolutely. They don't feel treated fairly. They don't feel cared about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that is a big one.
I wouldn't want to work in an organization that I either wasn't treated fairly or that I wasn't cared about, or I didn't feel that, because you could be cared about or you could be treated fairly, but if I don't feel it, I don't know it. So it's being able to communicate it in a way that your team feels it and knows it.
And I think that's the key thing, because a lot of the leaders that we even work with, they do care, but sometimes I'm not sure their team thinks they care.
They're not good. They don't have a good way to communicate their care and their compassion.
Yeah, and that's why we gave them the frameworks in the very first C, right? The care part.
Right.
So you have the thinking tools, you have all that for you.
And then the last one is poor leadership or ineffective and inefficient organizations.
Yeah, well,
and those are repairable. That's completely fixable.
I mean, the good news is all of these things, they're fixable. If you know what it is, right? It's like if you know what the obstacle is, you can overcome it. You can fix it. You just got to know what it is. You just got to be aware. And hopefully, like this podcast is like really going to kind of give people awareness so that you can step in and fix it.
Absolutely. Now, what makes us more committed?
All right, I've been waiting for this.
You have been waiting for this. When the leader has the team's best interest in mind.
I love it. Yeah.
Love it. Mm-hmm. When leaders are honest and transparent.
Okay, so this is a big one.
Yeah.
Right? Is that I buy into you before you can sell me the how. Before you can sell the vision, I have to buy into you. Because even as leaders, they have to communicate hard things. They have to communicate things that people don't want to do at times.
Yeah.
But if they're bought into the leader first, and the fastest way to create that buy-in is transparency. Now, here's kind of a crazy word, and I'm going to go for it, okay, Lisa?
Go for it.
Kate can fix it all later, is this whole idea of the fastest way to really build trust is intimacy. Mm-hmm. Now, before you get a little crazy, it's like, here's what you got to think. Here's my definition of intimacy. It's into me see.
Right.
I allow people to see a little bit into me, right? That they know I also have struggles and I also have uncertainties and I also have obstacles that I'm trying to overcome. And
you actually care about other people and you care about our team.
Right. And I communicate that. I just let them see a little bit into me. It creates that transparency where people will be able to buy into you.
Absolutely. Another thing that helps us be more committed is when leaders lead with their hearts, not just their heads, and they show passion and they inspire.
Okay, so talk a little bit more about that. What does it mean to like lead with your heart?
Lead with your heart. So show your passion, inspire. This is not all task oriented. It's not let's get the job done and go and blow. It's I've got a passion. I have these strong goals that I want to accomplish, and we can do it together. It's the reason behind the reason. Yeah.
Well, and one thing, like you do a great job with this, Lisa.
Why, thank you.
You really do, because I know when people are in your presence, they just feel that. They just pick up that, you really care and they really commit.
And people feel that you really show your passion and inspire.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. The next one, setting goals and getting feedback. People like to be committed when they can set goals and give feedback. Otherwise, you don't want to be a hamster just in the hamster wheel.
Yeah, doing the same thing.
Same thing. There's no goals. There's no feedback. And you're just wearing yourself out. Yeah,
and we don't have time to talk about this, but it kind of goes back to the number one motivator of people is you feeling a sense of progress. Mm-hmm. Right? If you just think about, I know for me, for you, it's true for the entire human race, is when I don't feel a sense of progress, I'm not motivated. Right. And so part of what setting goals and reaching milestones, it helps us feel this sense of progress. Well, wasn't that the big problem with the great shutdown that we walked through like a few years ago? Is people thought, oh my gosh, I'm doing the same thing. Nothing's ever going to change. It's always going to be this way, right? And people never felt that sense of progress. And
it was very demotivating.
It was, yeah. And a big reason why is because they didn't feel this sense of progress. Right. So helping your teams feel a sense of progress, which is one thing that we really teach and go through with our team, is every day or every meeting, we rehearse the wins. Mm-hmm. Right? Hey, what was a win yesterday? Personal, professional. Get together with our team meetings. Hey, what was a win yesterday? What was a win, personal and professional? And I know when we start our meetings out that way, we start our meetings out with something positive and forcing ourselves, rather than to focus on the meeting and what's going to happen and on the agenda and on the future, we take a minute and we focus on the past and we pull out some positive things. And sometimes it's things that I thought, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Or you may say something that I wasn't even aware of, and you say, this is a win. And I thought, oh, I didn't know that. That is so cool. Yeah. And it just puts us on such a positive note, which is another reason why
we are more committed is when we focus on the positive.
Well, when we focus on the positive, here's what happens, is that we actually tackle problems at a place of strength, not a place of weakness. Right? So what we're not saying is just rehearse the wins, kumbaya, and don't ever tackle problems.
Right.
But you first want to go to that place of power by, hey, we got some wins. We did this. We did this. Now let's look ahead. What are some obstacles? What's not going well?
Because we come from a place of strength of,
Right.
okay, we can do this.
Yeah, and the more
we did it, and we can do this.
Well, and the more confident I am, the more creative I am. The more confident I am, the more committed I am. And they go hand in hand.
Absolutely. And another thing, the last thing, things that make us more committed is when we're responsible. When we're allowed to be responsible and when you are responsible, because we're adults and we don't want to be treated as children.
And when we step in and rescue, we actually treat people like children.
Absolutely.
I know that has been a big problem sometimes with just you and I leading together, is that I see the pain that you have, and instead of letting you walk through that pain and come up with your own solutions, I just want to step in and fix it. And then I step in and fix it, and I actually
I feel disempowered.
Right, and I don't build your confidence. I actually take your confidence away.
And I may not have even needed it fixed. I needed time to walk through and understand what the solution was. And I needed time to be able to do that.
And I just took some of your commitment away, right? And here's where leaders sometimes get mixed up a little bit, because we do these things out of a heart of care, right? Because we do care for it. And we got to flip what care looks like sometimes, right? Because sometimes care looks like, I'm going to let you struggle in this so that you come up with a solution. But then once you get to this other side, then you're really more committed.
Absolutely.
And it's going through that struggle.
And there's a Gallup poll that showed that only 32% of U.S. employees were engaged in 2022.
Oh, wow.
Only 32%. So we have a long ways to go in building the engagement, in building commitment. Think about it. That means there's a whole lot of people that are just functioning in their day-to-day, and they're not even engaged, which means they're probably not enjoying it. And what's the point? So let's increase our engagement. Let's increase our commitment.
And when we have a committed team, it's like having a focus team, right? The more committed the team is, the stronger they are, and the more they're going to go through these obstacles.
Right. So there's 4 drivers
in
motivating people. Can you kind of go through this for us?
And really kind of creating commitment. There's sort of
creating
4
commitment,
drivers.
Communicating care, having conflict.
Absolutely. And we use the acronym SOAR. And it's sort of the word picture is that when I have these 4 skills, they're almost like 4 muscles, I can really soar with my team. I can take my team to new heights and new levels if I know how to soar. So let's just kind of think about like different team members, right? So SOAR, right? Some people are straightforward, right? They mean what they say what they mean, right? It's like you don't have to worry no fluff. You don't have to worry about where they stand, right? Straightforward. Then you have O. You have those people that are more open, right? Kind of like the otter in the animal kingdom, right? It's like, they kind of, they're the glue that kind of holds teams together. They're very relational. They're very fun, right? They're the great salespeople. They can really connect with people, right? But that's not everybody. And then we have A. We have the people that are a little bit, they're just more accepting. It's all about respect and recognition. If they don't feel respected or recognized, it can frustrate them. And when they don't see other team members that are respected and recognized, that will fuel their fire.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, but not everybody's motivated that way. Not everybody commits that way. Now, here's what's fascinating. You're straightforward people, because they're so goal-oriented, they don't even think about respect and recognition. It almost doesn't enter their mind. Not that maybe it's not that it's not that important, but they're not aware of it.
It's not front of mind.
Yeah, and so we really want to kind of increase awareness. And then there's those people that are more reliable, right? And they're all about certainty and, getting the job done correctly.
They're your detail people. They're the ones that catch the errors.
Right, they're the ones that are analytical, right? They can refine projects. And we absolutely need like really all 4 of these types of people. Right? We need
every one of these people on our team, because otherwise we're lopsided.
Yeah. So, and even think about like this whole idea of commitment, right? So people that more in the SOAR model, the SOAR model, people that are straightforward, they make quick decisions to commit. right? So
Very
when you say,
quick.
right, very quick decisions, right? And they make a quick decision to when they're done. I commit and then I'm done. And it's not good or bad. It's like, this is just how they commit.
It's just how they're built, how they work.
It almost becomes this, it's all about the check marks, right? And they're very, very task focused. So that's how kind of the straightforward person commits. And then you have the people that are more open, the O's, right? And they also make a quick decision to commit, and they're done when it's no longer fun.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, when this stops being fun, hey, I'm not going to commit.
I'm out.
Yeah, it's almost like it's all about having fun. And you know when they're the kind of the cheerleaders, right? It's like when they're cheering people on, you know they're in. And it's how they commit. But that's not everybody, right? So we got the S, we got the O, they're kind of fast to commit, right? But then the A and the R in the SOAR model, right? The people that are more accepting, right? They're a little slower to commit.
They are.
Right? It's not good or bad. They're just slower
because
to
once
commit.
they commit, they are all in forever.
Right. That's the deal, right? They're slow to commit, but once they're in forever.
Yep.
And I love these type of people. I wish I was more of that. Right. And then we have the more reliable people. And, with them, it's slow to commit, but commitment has to be earned. It's like, you've got to prove to me, this is true. It's going to work. And it's like, but once you prove it, they're also all in. Right. Is once it's proved, they're all about, and it really becomes to them all about keeping the commitment. So we have this SOAR model that 4 different types of people, 4 different types of styles, they commit different ways.
And it's so important to be self-aware, but also to be other-aware.
Yeah.
What is your makeup? What motivates you? And what motivates the people on your team?
Yeah,
and what their makeup is?
Yeah, it's almost like, hey, this is what makes you tick. This is what ticks you off. And Lisa, we want to kind of like just give another free gift away. Sound good?
I love it.
And so we have this particular commitment tool, and it really kind of clarifies some of the expectations that people have. And it's a tool called When Dealing With Me, and it answers 7 questions. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put it in the show notes. It will be a link there. You can download it. It's our free gift to you. You do it a lot of times with training, with teams, and it typically is one of the very first things we do with teams. So we wanted it to be a blessing to you and kind of give it to you. But Lisa, let's kind of go through like the sort of the 4 or the 7 different areas that we kind of get people to answer and then have a discussion about.
And this is powerful because that way someone doesn't have to guess.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have to guess, okay, with Dennis, okay, let me think. This is what's important to him. It's straightforward. This is clarity. We are giving clarity, and so we can have commitment.
Yeah, so the first one is when dealing with me, you need to honor blank, right? So when dealing with me, you need to honor my calendar. Right? But it looks different for you, Lisa. How do you answer that? When dealing with you,
When dealing with me, you need to honor my space and my perspective.
Yeah, and so here's a great example, right? Is that once I know that, we can commit together a lot easier, right? I know how to relate to you. Commitment becomes easier. So another one is when coming to discuss a problem or solution with me, you need to, so like how do you answer that?
When coming to discuss a problem with me, you need to let me know in advance before we discuss it if you want a solution, or you need to give me space after we talk about it to come to you with my answer.
Yeah. Mine is simply put yourself on my calendar.
I think that might be your answer for all of them.
It might be. I love my calendar, right? So, but this,
but also when dealing with you, you prefer speed, quickness, which is why you want it on your calendar.
I want it on my calendar, right? So if you want my support, you need to, and mine is simply ask. Ask for it, right? Don't beat around the bush or just, a little passive aggressive, but don't ever like if you just have to ask very clearly, very directly. This is what I need from you, and we can have a conversation. Like, how do you answer that if you need,
if
my
support? If you want my support, you ask, but also I need to know, and this is why.
Okay, right. See, to me, not so important. Another one is the most common ways one can ensure they won't receive this support from me is to, and mine is play the victim.
And mine would be to be disrespectful and condescending.
Oh, we've had that issue sometimes.
Yeah.
Right. The key to gaining my trust and respect is to, and for me, it's be authentic and transparent. How about you?
For me, it would be to be respectful and honoring.
Yeah.
Gosh, respect is kind of a big thing for me.
It's a big thing. There you go, right?
Are you listening to this?
I am listening. I'm taking notes.
Okay,
writing
good.
up. Right. And to ensure success in interacting with me, you need to demonstrate, like, how do you answer that?
I don't know. You go first.
Yeah. So for mine, is you need to demonstrate the ability to fix it yourself.
To ensure success, you need to give me the details.
Right. And my vision of coworkers effectively interacting with each other includes, mine is care, conflict, clarity, and commitment.
Mine is collaboration.
There you go. Now, in what's fascinating is we all commit different ways.
And when I have this information on you and you have this information on me, and we come together to sit down in a meeting, especially if we don't know each other very well, we can kind of look through this one sheet and see, okay, this is who I'm coming into a meeting with, and this is how I need to approach it to be able to have a good, successful meeting where you feel cared for, where we have positive conflict, where there's good clarity, and then where there's good commitment.
Well, and it also is a way for team members to commit to each other, not just commit to the leader and the leader commit to them, but also like it's
commit to the team.
Commit to the team, right? Commit to each other, right? Because there's projects that that our team work on that we're not even involved in. They're working together on it. And it's a way for them to commit to each other. So it's this big commitment. So Lisa, for you, this has been fun. It's been great with the 4 C's, kind of like walking through that. But just this one on commitment, what's your big takeaway?
My big takeaway is the value of the when dealing with me tool.
Yeah, you know what? I was kind of reminded of the same thing. In that, really understanding, it's like I can't collaborate if I don't know your context. I can't commit if I don't know your context. And it's also 7 questions for me to really know your personal context.
And if you don't tell me how I can't read your mind, how am I supposed to know?
And there it goes back to the leader's 6th sense.
And then we can't be efficient even if we want to, because we don't have the information, we don't know each other, and we don't really truly know what's important to each other to come to a conclusion together.
Yeah. So Lisa, this has been great.
It has been.
It's been 4 C's of building a team. I've really enjoyed the series. And so listen, we want to encourage you, get the When Dealing With Me tool. And if you've loved this podcast and loved the whole series, share with a friend. Just hit share however you share your podcast or your webcast. And we'd love to just be a blessing to more people. So Lisa, are we done?
We are done. Go back and start with, this is a series of 5 podcasts. Yep. Go back and start with number 1 and listen through all of them to get the full impact of the 4 C's.
Awesome. And we'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living Podcast.